Hey, buddy. How's it going, buddy? How's it going? How's it going? Hey, buddy. How's it going, buddy? How's it going? Oh, there it is. Coniferous. There it is. Share. Hey, guys. Let's see here. And I just have to paste these links. Hey, guys. Just gonna paste some links and then we'll get started. So give me like 2 minutes here. And I wish it would let me change that description. All right. Hey, I know I'm gonna start a show though. I'm gonna do a show. Gotta do a show. I'm gonna do a show. Greetings. Welcome to live stream. How y'all doing? Got some topics here to cover. I'm gonna make sure my sound's okay. I'm gonna do a better job at starting this show. I am. I actually thought I wasn't gonna stream tonight because of RX Picture Show. I was hoping they were gonna be on, but going out of town this weekend, so they're not doing a show. And I had the hankering, and I need to practice this. So it looks like the mic's good. You guys can probably hear me just fine. All right, cool. I have solicited Twitter for some topics to cover, and I got some good ones. I had a few of my own, but boy, the ones I got are really good. And so what you're doing is you're watching me sort of like not do a good job of pulling everything up, but that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm just pulling this up, and then I'm gonna really pour some prana into this camera right here, because I'm really glad you're here. This is me learning how to do this better. Yeah, that's a great one. Jason, what a great question. Wow. Okay, so I have that page up, and then I've got here I can watch. Hi, Carol. And yeah, everybody's looking good. So I've got that page up, and then I usually have this all this stuff up that, yeah, here we go. Now we're talking. Here's all my other stuff that I already have pulled up, waiting for us to go. We're gonna start with this one. I'm gonna go ahead and just kick it off, man. We're just gonna go for it. We're just gonna go for it. That's right. Okay, so Chea. I don't mean the singer. I'm gonna start with this guy. Assuming you guys can see it, I just want to make sure. Hi, Misty, Michael. There we go. Okay. This graphic I found, it's a GIF. You can see it where it's showing you like, okay, we're gonna hold, we're gonna exhale, we're gonna hold, we're gonna inhale, hold, exhale. Now I'm not asking you to do this because some of you guys are gonna be like, he's trying to hypnotically change people. I'm trying to show you how you can hypnotically change yourself. No one teaches this stuff. Yes, you've heard take a deep breath, but normally it's like someone throwing a giant boulder into a spinning dryer, like telling you to calm down, right? When someone's like, take a deep breath. There's a science to this. And it is, you need to realize that there are 3 rhythms in your body. You guys already know this, but you've got your brain rhythm, you've got your heart rhythm, and you've got your breathing. And you can use your breathing as a transmissional gear to change to a different state. Now, some people are going to get really particular. They're going to say it has to be inhale for, like, for example, me. If I need to really charge up with Tesla power, I do a 3, that's 6, and then 9. That's 3, 6, 9. Now, I just use that because it makes me believe. This is the technology of belief I'm talking about. It makes you believe that it's supercharged, and that's all that matters. So pick the rhythm that you want based on what you want to do. Let's say that you want to calm down. Well, you could think about, if I want to calm down, do I want more oxygen or less? If I want more oxygen, if you want that, you're going to want maybe your inhale to be more longer if you want, or shorter. Try whatever you want. The point is that none of us are really learning how to retune or change gears. I realize I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see that. Or retune and change gears throughout the day. And it literally is this simple. It's simply a matter of somatics, not semantics, somatics of just tapping in to your body. So remember that breathing exercise. It's going to instantly put you in your cockpit. Why? Because you're changing gears. You're sitting down. You're like, oh, I'm going to try this gear. You're going to switch into that gear. So it's going to naturally just make something, reset yourself to however you want. It's a cleansing exercise. No different than erasing your chalkboard and starting again. Starting with something different. All right, cool. I'm going to get to some questions, by the way. First, though, yeah. So someone made a comment the other day about I did this great video. I think it's great on ego, and I was really trying to get us all to stop physically talking shit about the ego. Stop letting other people talk crap about the ego in front of us. and I thought of I was on a great call today, and I thought of a great analogy, which I want to just partake to you. And what triggered the analogy was that someone had made a comment about the video, and they were like, yeah, great video. Like they understood, but then they still subconsciously shot their ego. They still flogged it in public. And what they said was, a big ego, it's going to be your best friend and your worst enemy. And I want to say, stop. No, that's not what I mean at all. I would like for you to consider the idea that your ego is your gas tank. And at no point in time is it ever better to not have gas in your gas tank. It is always better to have a full tank of gas. Now, hopefully a contraire will say right now, yeah, but if there was like an explosion, then all that gas would like go everywhere, and then that would be bad. So clearly your analogy doesn't hold true. So take those guys and just kind of put them on the side and hear what I'm saying. It is always good to have a good gas tank. Even if you're selling your car and you have a full tank of gas, guess what? You're giving someone a lot of gas. This is good. Ego is a full gas tank. You're always going to want, there's really never going to be a reason why you ever want to shame that. Now, I'm also working on you guys about pride. Why you guys think pride's a bad word. And I pull you aside separately and I'm like, look, you need to stop bashing pride. You don't understand how important pride is. Like, no, pride is the downfall. We're having the same issue with this ego thing. Now, you could just say I'm not right. Hey, it wouldn't be the first time. But I'm telling you, the reason why you think pride is bad is because chemically it feels good to think it's bad. Why? Because everyone gets rewarded for your entire life from the time you're little for them to flog their own pride, for them to blame pride for something, when actually it was the complete lack of pride. Ego and pride, it's the same prana. It's your egoic force field. You were a starship. I just realized I didn't have a camera on me, sorry. You were a starship. Your egoic force field is your power up. The stronger that starship force field is going to be when you pull into an enemy port. Not only are you going to be more protected, but even more important, you're going to be more empathic. If you see another squandering Zisby from XB6 and he was to pull alongside you and accidentally bump into your spaceship with his tiny rusty spaceship, you're not going to feel that. You're not going to be all like upset by it. In fact, you're going to look at him and go, hey man, you should really get some of these bumpers. Here, have a rubber bumper for your spaceship. You are now more empathic. Why? Because you have a full gas tank. Same thing if you were wandering down the street and someone didn't have any gas. Right now, if someone has a really low ego, we yell at them for having gas. They're like, you really need to check that ego. You need to get rid of that gas. It's the opposite. If you had plenty of gas, you could give them a gallon or two. It wouldn't be any big deal. Probably repeating myself to you guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like I'm lecturing. I just really want us to try and turn over this mind control, because it's really hurting our power. It's cutting us off at the feet. We're not able to connect that circuit through the roots. We could do it better. This is how we do it. We find our ancestors. In fact, wow, there's a great article that if I could pull up, it would show you right now. But basically, underneath the roots, there are actual light transactions happening between the roots. And it really does show that there is an electrical connection happening when you touch your feet to the ground. And when you go past a cemetery and you see a family visiting a grave, it's like the oldest ritual in the world. These people are pulling prana up out of the ground by sending reverence down. It's a cycle. They're pulling power they couldn't get anywhere else. I thought of that today in reference to me. This sounds pretty freaking self-centered, but some of you guys don't know me as like a person. Some of you guys only know me as like a personality, like some sort of YouTube personality. Because of that, you're not aware of just how stupid I've been in the past. Because of that, you might be more endowed to utilize the technology of belief with me as a vessel in some way. So how that looks like is some of you guys will say, wow, that's really wise. James True is a really wise person, which is great, by the way. I encourage more people saying that. But my point is that it's utilizing a technology because you met me in a certain way. I was always presented in a certain way. And because of that, you're probably able to kind of jack into that if you wanted to, for good or for bad, you know? I'm reminded of a guy that's burned my book on Twitter and posted it. Like I was probably a personality to him. So he felt he gave me more power by burning my book. It's weird how that works, right? Weird. Um, okay. We should probably talk just a little bit about politics. Um, you know what? Should we talk about politics? I kind of want to tell you guys about Q, but we don't have to do that now. Um, you can stop me if I get a chat quick, and we'll just go right in because there's some awesome questions from people. We could not even talk about politics if we wanted to. There just happens to be some things happening with the impeachment that are kind of fun. I feel like because I said that, maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Like, I think I've already answered my own question. Um, I've got all this stuff pulled up anyway, but I also have all these questions. Sorry, guys, I'm losing my rhythm, aren't I? Okay. All right. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. I shouldn't have to ask you that. Thanks for the encouragement. Share, I should just decide. I should just bring it, right? I should just bring it. I think this is the right one. Share. Okay. The Smith-Moon Act passed in 1948, signed by Harry Truman, January 27, 1948. The Smith-Moon Act gave the ability for the government to lie. It said, hey, man, you can lie. And what's interesting about this, I am looking something up because I just saw a date. When was Hiroshima and Nagasaki date? When was these things dropped? These were dropped on August 6th and August 9th, 1945. If you don't know where I'm going with this, I think nuclear weapons are bullshit. I know I'm not the only one to think that. But in my book, Blueprints of Mind Control, which I should just get used to doing this. Hey, I wrote this book, Blueprints of Mind Control. Inside it is the psyop of relativity. And I say in there that this is all bullshit. This is Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Make your enemy think that you are greater than you are. Make the people think that government is so crucial because Iran is 6 months away from a nuclear bomb. August 6th, August 9th, 1945, the government lied to us. January 1945, Karl Mund passed this act in Congress, the 79th Congress. Yes, it was signed much later by Truman. I'm not saying that they are exactly related, but they sure are quite a coincidence together, because once we started lying about nuclear weapons, we started lying about SpaceNet. And once you start that first lie, it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. Now, I ask a question to all of you. QAnon, the Zionist psyop controlled by Steve Bannon that's working to help Trump through his presidency, has said disinfo is necessary. QAnon has also said the Smith-Moon Act is what allows the cabal to mistreat you. It should not take I would say rocket scientist, but there's really no such thing. It should not take a brain surgeon to realize that if there was no Smith-Moon Act, QAnon would be breaking the law. QAnon is using the Smith-Moon Act. But the Stockholm Syndrome that we have tells us that it's okay, that this captor can mistreat us because they're secretly on our side. And that's not so good, guys. That's not so good. I'm hoping that all of us are going to be seeing this soon. The reason why I bring this up now is because just yesterday, QAnon posted saying indictments are coming. Indictments there's been 100,000 sealed indictments that no one can see what they are. They could be illegal aliens, as one of my Twitter friends said. You don't know. It's being sold as these are all the deep state bad guys, that we have a secret indictment that's been sealed on their name. And the only reason why they're not arrested is because they are helping us bring down the cabal. And I have a problem with this rumor because it's propaganda and it's bothering me. And the reason why I'm bringing that up right now is because if you look at the idea that indictments are coming, we've had these indictments on file for over a year, almost two. Why is Q waiting until impeachment begins to then roll out indictments? Hear me out. If Trump really wanted to win, if this was not a wrestling match, if this was a real life brawl, if this impeachment proceeding that we're watching was real, it was like a real bona fide thing, if Mueller investigation was real, okay, then why would Q and Trump not release the indictments the day after Mueller? Because if they released them then, it would make Trump literally invincible for the rest of his term. Why? Because if anyone tried to impeach him, and if Adam Schiff really has an indictment against him, if Nancy Pelosi really has an indictment against him, her, or whatever she is, if all these bad guys, if Comey, if all of them have indictments against them, by releasing those indictments right after Mueller, it would make this entire impeachment fiasco impotent. Ooh. Because it would be perceived as, well, this is a desperate plea to try and defend yourself. I keep giving proofs about why Q is Bannon. And just 2 days ago, he was on Fox News. They picked him as a primetime guest on Fox News. Why? Because he launched a podcast. A podcast. And what was his podcast about? He's dedicating an entire podcast to War Room Impeachment. That's what it's called. This is QAnon queuing up the wrestling match. There are two wrestlers. There's the media and there's Trump. And those two wrestlers are two towers, Jakeem and Boaz. And if all this was just over, the government wouldn't have anything to do. If there wasn't a tropical island billionaire pedophile blowjob from George Clooney In-N-Out Burger commercial with a Mossad billionaire daughter tied to every single nest underneath England all at the same time, with an underwater submarine and a fake satanic temple with rumors of pedophilia and cannibalism, that's a reality show. That's a professional wrestling match. More importantly, beyond all of that, what it truly is this legislation. People are always asking me, oh, but the cabal's evil. They don't have to be evil. I don't think they're evil. I don't think they're evil. I think they're doing their job. I think they have a rule right here on the screen that tells them Yeah, this is what we can do. I think they sleep at night. I don't think Trump has not once been nervous about impeachment. Never. Nor do I think the Mueller investigation made anyone nervous. It's no more nervous than Hulk Hogan being nervous when he's flung up against the ropes and he bounces back and he's able to pull out his arm just in time and clothesline the dastardly dark man. Until we understand the narrative of government works, and it's fascinating because if you look at the allegory of Plato's cave, it's exactly what's happening. We're trapped in the cave looking at their shadows. Not all of us are. One of my patrons got on me today. James, why are you doing this? Why are you focusing on this? It's a good question. I do want to focus on the new world. We talk about that. I led with the first two. I got more coming. I got it coming. But I need you guys to understand something. Some of us lost family to propaganda, war, and lies. I just happen to be one of those people. I think it's very important that I point this out. I have a motto now. I want it to be expensive to lie. I want it to be the most expensive thing you can do around here. And that's why I keep calling out liars. I want it to be fashionable. I don't want people to keep lying. It's at least not in government. Lie about snake oil. Lie about selling products. Lie about a fancy new whatever's or ever. I don't know. But stop lying about government. This is a fantasy. And if you've been listening to me, this is an article out of Curve magazine. And it's these women, look, this was like the cover, I think. See, here she is. She's got Trump down on the ropes. She's got his head pushed up against the rock. And he's like, oh, I'm in so much pain. I'm being destroyed. Wrestling. Pro wrestling. These guys are in their underwear. And they're bouncing on ropes, and there's only going to be two people in there. And anytime they gang up and all of a sudden three roll in, you know how it works in the wrestling match. You're sitting there, you're watching the match, and then the bad guys, all three of them pile in. They're the hillbilly brothers from Kentucky, the blue hillbillies, right? And they climb in the ring at the same time. And you're just like, oh my God, I was going to go pee. I can't leave during this. What's the Lone Ranger going to do? What's he going to do? He can't reach Tonto. He can't get over there. All three of them, they got him in the Rattlesnake Gulch trap. It's a wrestling match, guys. And it's not a joke. It's dead serious. The people that win this wrestling match are the people that know how to play this game. And it's not just in politics. Because when you get elite, you become this archetype, don't you? You vacate yourself and you become a vessel for something else. Pardon me while I pull this up. You end up having to create a blackmail ticket for yourself. If you don't have a blackmail ticket, you cannot get into the show. Who in their right mind would let someone like me into the show without a blackmail ticket? Be insane. This is his blackmail ticket. Look, guys. Do you see this picture? Tell me, I hope you can see it. I'm doing this right? Yeah. This is the picture. This is blackmail evidence exhibit A. It's right out there in front. Everyone now knows that there's a blackmail file existing on Elon Musk. No one knows who owns it. This is the title right here. This is the title of ownership. Okay? The elite can only become that way through having a title, through having something, a ticket. The golden ticket into the show is the lie. And it's not ever healthy or respectful to yourself or honoring of yourself to pretend it doesn't work that way. This photo of Bill Clinton in a dress. This is the ticket of ownership. This is the coat check ticket. And as long as you have this title right here, you can prove that you have the ownership of the real thing. There's an actual photo of Bill Clinton in this dress. It would showcase him as being setting up this entire thing the whole time. Him being part of it. It's insurance. This is insurance right here. Elon Musk, that's why he's lying about it. Because if he's going to play with the big boys, if he's going to go up to Mount Olympus, which we'll talk about, got some theories brewing on Mount Olympus. I think it's actually here. The only way he's going to get in is if he crawls into a coffin and masturbates like these shitheads. Like, that's how you make it. That's how you say that you're a willing participant. And what people don't like is this. This is the Serta commercial.
Oh, they'll never count sheep again.
Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
Watch this.
Welcome to room 9.
Looking good, number 9. Looking good.
Where's your dignity?
Save now on this.
Did you see 9 and 11 in there? Did you see that in the hallway? That's your front ticket. That's showing, that's making everyone know, okay, Trump's got a ticket. He's allowed in the show. Someone owns him. And I think what they own is when he goes in there and he's talking to the sheep in one room. I think that's one tape. And that's what got released to Serta as a commercial. And the other tape is him saying, yeah, here's what happened on 9/11. I think that's how he got elected. I think that's why Julian Assange says, I don't like to entertain rumors about stupid conspiracies like 9/11. I'm paraphrasing him there. What happens in a wrestling match? You need a messiah. You need someone to come in and rescue the day. You've got your Cyrus now. You've got your orange Cyrus, but you need something else. You need like an albino Jesus of truth. I think it's terrible what's happened to Assange. But I also think that him, Snowden, and Bradley Manning are all tickets. This is an orchestrated Great Awakening. Something that started 20 years ago was hijacked 11 years ago when Epstein was first arrested. And the very same people that are running the show now made a decision 11 years ago that we will let Epstein run free and touch whoever he wants to touch and do whoever and whatever he wants to do with people. I need you to reevaluate any litmus any of you guys might have about the goodness or the white-hattedness of anybody who would participate in lying to you. The reason why people keep calling me, oh, you're such a black pillar, is because those people want Washington, D.C. to be real. And I keep telling them it's not. And I'm not guessing. The Smith-Moon Act makes it so. The promise of indictments makes it so. And because indictments are now coming right when impeachment is, they're going to be stalled. I predict until re-election that's when it'll really come down. But boy, we're going to have to get out and vote. Going to have to get out and do another red wave. This is wrestling. The New World Order is hiding underneath a wrestling match. And I'm not a black pillar for telling you that. Unless you're going to pretend like it's a game. And many of you do. Someone posted me today. You know, I can't believe you think Q's a LARP. You're such an idiot. And it's just like, I've never, ever, ever said Q was a LARP. But if we keep asking the question, is Q a LARP? No one's going to ask the question, who is Q? What are his motives? What's he doing here? You can't even ask questions like that. That's dangerous. That is very, very dangerous. QAnon is Steve Bannon. And Steve Bannon went to Harvard. And if you guys know about what's come out about Harvard lately, I don't have it prepped to even tell you, but basically, Les Wexner had set up a, excuse me, I'm opening this, set up a exchange program between Israel and Harvard, between businessmen in Israel and Harvard graduates. And that, my friend, is a underground railroad for Zionism. Now, Les Wexner sorry about that. Les Wexner was the guy that owned Anthony Weiner's laptop files, his blackmail files. Remember the tickets? Anthony Weiner had a ticket too. He had Weiner, Epstein, and Clinton all in his safe. And 11 years ago, when Epstein got busted, he cashed him in. Notice how when he gets busted, Wexner still doesn't get in trouble. In fact, Wexner profits because he cashes in on those three. And he cashes in on it, what I think is, and this is me speculating now, I'm not presenting evidence on this, I think that he is a pillar of Zionism, and he's going to go down in history in the Talmudic tradition, the oral tradition history, as being a pillar in the third temple. That's his payment. That's where he's getting off in that. And these are evacuated people. They're going to function to their archetype. It's how they were able to even gain power. So in back of Wexner, separate from him, there's this guy named Steve Bannon, Harvard graduate, goes to work for Goldman Sachs, gets a job in Goldman Sachs and convinces Goldman Sachs, we should try some Hollywood investment. Goes out to Hollywood, runs a couple films, nothing political. Then he meets Andrew Breitbart. And then they produce Clinton Cash. Now, the Clinton Cash is what opens the door for Bannon into Breitbart, but more importantly, into Zionism, into Wexner, and into Netanyahu. Bannon goes to Breitbart, but he did something else first. And that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to close this window. I'm going to pretend like this is a little intermission. Well, there's an intermission. Closing windows. I'm closing windows because it's an intermission. Yeah. Before Steve Bannon, Before Steve Bannon took over for Breitbart, he founded Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica's goal: to work on government and military contracts that aim to change foreign populations' behaviors. That's what Cambridge Analytica's their focus was. Bannon's arsenal of weaponry to wage a culture war on America using military strategy is how Cambridge Analytica was described by that one ex-employee. See, Bannon co-founded Cambridge Analytica in 2013. They did behavioral changes in over 60 countries, guys. This was an AI firm, artificial intelligence firm. Mercer, the guy that partnered with Bannon, he was a film guy, and then he got into AI. I'm sorry, guys. I think he was a computer guy, and he got into AI. The point is that from as early as Cambridge Analytica, Bannon's utilizing AI to manipulate thought. He's using it to do things like build a reality show, like set up a drama that pulls everyone in and just drains the fuck out of them with hope. Like just puts the hope hook right in their mouth and just keeps going. Bannon has every single foot inside a queue. Already showed you that one. The pitch, 2014, Cambridge Analytica. Computer-based personality judgments are more accurate than those made by humans. What did Cambridge Analytica get in trouble doing? Remember when they called Jared Kushner a genius for calling Facebook and saying, hey, I want to play some ads? They anointed him the Messiah genius for that, by the way, and selling MAGA hats. But Cambridge Analytica was busted for exposing millions and millions of Facebook. All of our profiles were stolen by Steve Bannon and run through an AI and created what we see today. Personality traits could serve as precursors to political behaviors. That's in their founding statements. You guys don't need to look at me. I'll show you this again. Look, it's got former TV producer, Behavioral Dynamics Institute, SCL, parent company, right? They started in 1993. This Behavioral Dynamics Institute. By studying mass behavior, believed public opinion could be manipulated and shifted to alter political outcomes. Check this out. The company has worked in regions from Libya to Afghanistan and Ukraine. It would later spin off into Cambridge Analytica, a subsidiary, specifically to target the US market. Ooh. And I'm still listening to people tell me, well, I don't think Bannon is Q. I'm like, well, who do you think it is? I think it's the Cookie Monster. And for someone who lost family to this propaganda of lies, that shit hurts. It hurts to watch someone treat this like a fucking wrestling match. Sorry, I know that sounds kind of black pilly, but that's why it hurts. I got better things to do than catch liars. You think I enjoy this stuff? I don't. I admit it'd be better if I was to move on, but we're going to cover this and we're going to move on, right? Art Mercer, artificial intelligence. That's the guy that helped him out. CEO of Renaissance Technologies. It's a hedge fund. Oh, I wasn't sharing that. I promise everything I just said was true. That was off another page there. Exhibit whatever. Nigel Farage and Steve Bannon, best friends. Guess what? Nigel Farage is the one that is allowed to go in and see Julian Assange. He's the one that's allowed to connect with him. Guess what? Summer 2015, Michael Flynn, advisor to Cambridge Analytica, meets Donald Trump. Now, Donald was already in the bag. Donald Trump in 2012 trademarked Make America Great Again. This is an old plan. But look, summer 2015, right? Michael Flynn, 2015, DNC is hacked. NSA, CIA. When you're running a secret society in the open, whoever holds the files is in charge of the people. If those files get stolen, if Wexner's safe was to get stolen and someone was to steal the painting of Anthony Weiner's laptop, I should say, the ownership changes. And then you got this slime ball, Roger Stone. Roger Stone is tied in with the Guccifer. You guys know that already. But the point is that when Guccifer leaked the DNC, he leaked it to a Kushner-owned paper. What does Kushner's dad do? He spent 2 years, he didn't even spend 2 years in jail for blackmail with a prostitute to his own family member. You're not going to get into DC unless you have a ticket. This isn't like oh, it'd be nice if everyone had a ticket. Why would you run a cabal for 5,000 years? And then when you get to DC, go, you know, doesn't really matter who gets in here. I'm sure it'll all work out. We'll just try and bribe them after they get elected. Is that how it works? Or is it, hey, if you get in this coffin and jack off in front of all these other guys, you'll be made for life? That's what they told Bush. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, he would have done it anyway. And they told Clinton, hey, you don't have to get in a coffin, but if you go to this tropical island and jack off in front of us or camera, you'll be made for life. Put this dress on. Or, hey, Donald, who did 9/11? It's really easy to own somebody. It actually becomes an art, a form of art, if you think about it. The painting, that's a fun prop. If you're going to spend that much money to blackmail to own someone, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to have it flaunted out in the open like that. If it's not out in the open, it's not enjoyable. These people want to enjoy their lives. They sleep at night. And when I was talking about earlier about how they're not evil, I meant to clarify what I meant by that. These people feel like this is how they manage cattle. And it's true. This is how you manage cattle. If you've got 250 million people that you convinced that they have to pick either red or blue, you're not dealing with people, you're dealing with cattle. I don't know what this one was, education. Bannon worked at the Pentagon. He's got a master's degree, National Security Services, Goldman Sachs. Turner Broadcasting. His first big sale was to Ted Turner. Bannon actually makes money off Seinfeld, believe it or not. He traded that work for Seinfeld. This tells you about when he met Breitbart at a film festival. And Breitbart often described using the tools of Hollywood to take down what he saw as a liberal media and political elite. Same guys around Citizens United, by the way. Now, all this led Bannon into Breitbart News. And once you got into Breitbart, I've written an article. You guys are sick of me talking about it. I know it. I don't blame you. I'm sick of talking about it. But I've written an article that outlines every single thing that Bannon did with Breitbart and how it lines up perfectly. Please remember, Bannon met with Epstein exactly a year and the day prior to Epstein's death. I think Epstein was given a contract back at school. I think they caught him molesting a kid. And instead of him being punished, they made him a golden child. They put him on a pedestal. And the whole time he knew he basically was a slave. That's why he had to masturbate all the time. Billionaires aren't broken. Or if they are, it's in much more subtle ways. I'm still learning exactly how they're all broken or not broken. Bannon met with Epstein. These guys are working the same game. 9/11 was staged to look a certain way. Even though we know they did it, they still got away with it. And I'm here to tell you, Epstein Island was staged. And they're going to get away with it. And the reason why is because people want to believe the story they're being sold. And that's really why 9/11 was sold so well. Because people wanted to believe that. They'd rather believe that it was outsiders. This is the Stockholm Syndrome that I'm talking about. Now, Cambridge Analytica poured all that money directly into the Trump campaign. And what you're left with now is the same people running the same government, doing the same things they've always done. And it's frustrating because you lose your sovereignty by focusing on it. And right now, by me spending this much time on it, we haven't been talking about what power we do have, and I acknowledge that. But QAnon is Steve Bannon, and I don't like being right when I'm the only one who's right. I'd rather us just all be right together. I'd rather it not be okay to walk around not thinking that Q is somebody. I'd rather us have enough respect for ourselves to go, we're not falling for an imaginary letter. This is not a superhero movie. This is not a Marvel movie with a secret spy that rolls in with indictments to rescue everybody. It's really unhealthy. The last thing I want to say about Q is really important, and this is more empowering. When Q signed off of this board, he went on another private board, 8kun or whatever, right? Skate kun or 8kun. He went back on another private board. Do you realize that Q could have launched a blockchain truth protocol? He could have released a white paper for a blockchain truth protocol that he could post to and anyone else could post to. And overnight, you would turn all these autists who understand how computers work, you would empower them. They would literally create a living internet of truth that would be built off this blockchain that Q kicked off. Not only would that kick off, but that blockchain could be used as revenue. It could be a truth revenue generating network. And every single post that came wouldn't have to have an imaginary trip code at the top where we're supposed to pretend to believe that we know that this is Q. Instead, we could each look at the blockchain and verify the hash key ourselves. If you guys don't know what hash key is, well, don't worry, I'm not going to bother you with it. But what I'm trying to say is that if you understand how blockchain works, you understand how powerful it would be to put truth on a blockchain. To make anonymous posters invisible. Because what I talked about in my stream about Alexandria is we're burying Alexandria in pretend people saying pretend words. You could have the entire works of Shakespeare, and in 20 years, we're not going to see it because it's going to be covered with 1 million false copies of William Shakespeare. And I'm telling you, look at the way historians interpret shit today. I mean, they fuck it up so bad. They're going to do that to us. Q could have stopped that with a blockchain, and he didn't. He likes that we won't know who's posting him questions. We're supposed to pretend that the person who asked him a question today is a different person than him. We have no way of verifying that. We have no way of knowing. My final point on this is that believing in Q is literally the most disrespectful thing you can do to yourself and your grandkids. I'd like for you to picture telling your grandkids, I believed in an anonymous letter that gave me no verification. The first thing he said to me was a lie. And then he said disinfo is necessary. And he left laws up like Smith moaned. And he never said a word about false flags, about school shootings. In fact, he started talking about red flag laws. In fact, he didn't start his own blockchain truth movement. No, he went with a private offshore company, something none of us could track, but could certainly be run by some kind of CIA operative. And he just kept telling me indictments are coming. But we just had to keep trusting the plan. We just had to keep voting for that anonymous letter. What kind of person is your grandkid going to think of you when he looks at you and you say that? Q is the most disrespectful thing you can believe in yourself. You're literally believing someone you can never, ever hold accountable for lying to you. We have to make it expensive for people to lie to us. I'm not talking about Q anymore. That's all I got to say about it. Yes, I can create a blockchain. All of us can, though. It's very doable. In fact, this campground I've been telling you guys I want to run, that would be one of the courses we would have. We would have a cosmology course and we would have a blockchain course at the very least. I'm going to get to some of these questions now because there's some pretty good ones. How many are you guys watching? Yeah, you guys are watching. Cool. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to me tell you who Q is. The thing is that I do a lot of research there, and I just don't like it to go to waste because people don't like reading about who Q is. They don't like that. Okay. So I posted today. Anyone want to post some questions up? And there's some really good questions here. Some of these questions I'm not going to talk about just because they're like really huge, deep topics. And it's not that they're not great questions, but I don't know if it's a good idea to, I don't know, we'll play it by ear, okay? Lucky Luke 3. Hi, James. I got your book Mind Control here in Australia. Thanks. Woohoo. Here's my book Mind Control. See, this is my commercial, guys. You can buy a signed copy of this on my website, jtrue.com. If you were president, how would you seek to manage gradual disclosure, or Q, differently, and why? I freaking love that question. First of all, because I get to be president. The very first thing I would do is put a pool table in the White House. And the first thing I'd do, I would turn that into a billiard room. I would try and make the archetype of president as symbolic and preposterous as I could, while still lending respect to the office, because it would be a figurehead. I would be much more honest about the figurehead of it. I would explain, first of all, I would have to explain how I got into DC, which means that I would have to come clean and tell you guys about the time I crawled into a coffin and masturbated with other guys watching me, or whatever it was that they did to blackmail me. I would then have to come clean to you guys. That would literally have to be the first thing I would do, because if not, I would lose your belief in me the second that happened. Just sold a book. Sorry, I have to do this. Just sold a book. That's my bell. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you guys. I just sold a book though, and that's pretty cool. So I would have to give away, unblackmail myself. That would definitely be the first thing I would have to do. Then I would ceremonially try and take down the office by ridiculing it, by slightly ridiculing it, making it very pompous. The very next thing I would do is I would expose NASA. I would explain that the reason why we had to, here, I'll do it for you. My fellow Americans, we've been lying to you about NASA. The reason why is because we needed an overarching force that invaded your mind and psychology, that made you believe in the federal government. We utilize space because it's an archetype, it's something that's above you. It's a place that's ever reaching. It's something that you can never get to yourself, but we can tell you all the stories about it. Space itself, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of a perfect vacuum is impossible. Not only can you not touch it, smell it, or see it, or lick it or taste it, we get to tell you exactly what it's made of, how it works, and how it functions. That gives us all power over an environment that we can use to scare you. We do that through fear of asteroids. We do that through fear of climate. We do that through fear of sunspots. We do that through blue beam and pretending alien invasions are coming. We are utilizing the technology of belief here in Washington, D.C. to control all of you. And that means we're going to have to lie. The only way you're going to believe us is if you're afraid. And the only way we can make you afraid is we're going to have to shoot some of you. And that's why we've instigated all these shooting programs across the nation. We're not satanic. We're not evil. We're simply doing our job. We are patriotic. And every school we go into and shoot, we can assure you, we do it as a patriotic duty. And I, as your president, am here to tell you, this whole place is a flaming pile of shit. And there's no way anybody's getting in unless they do something that probably involves sodomy. I'm not proud of what I did, but I got here just like the rest of them. Ladies and gentlemen, your government is a farce. And then I'd probably sort of like wait a little bit, feel the crowd out. It's important to feel the crowd out. You kind of have to behold them a little bit. Then I'd say, now I got some good news. And everyone's gonna be like, good news? Holy shit, I was getting ready to burn this place down. I'm like, all right, what's the good news? So now you really got to wow them, right? Because fuck, look at what you just told them. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the good news. Iran is not 66 months away from a nuclear bomb. Nuclear weapons aren't real. That was a firebomb in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Special relativity was invented in 1878 and was something that Einstein revitalized and was introduced as a coup. This was a coup against the ether, because if you guys knew what the ether was, well, you'd be a bunch of badasses. So the good news is the ether exists, and that your belief has been the most primal power that Washington, D.C. has ever had. And we've been using it to build a new world order. And now that you've caught me, the jig is up. I'll probably go something like that. I'm kind of getting tired of talking like president. That's what I would do if I was president. Okay, next question. What is our plan of action as civilians to save the world at this point? The plan of action is to not save the world. The plan of action is to save yourself and your family. So how do you do that? This is silver. I know you guys are like, oh shit, he's going to talk about silver again. This is how you do it. You need to stop spending petrodollars. You need to look at petrodollars as gross. In fact, if you were to do that in public, if you're supposed to be like, ugh, this is icky. Can I trade this for a silver, please? It's a very powerful alchemical thing. That means setting up barter. That means finding ways to just not use petrodollars at all. You're going to have to use it. You're going to have to use it. Don't get me wrong, but try. Make it something you're working on, just like lifting weights. It'd be like saying, well, I'm not going to lift weights because I can't lift 1,000 pounds. It's like, okay. It doesn't matter if you can never lift 1,000 pounds. Just lift some weights. The more you empower yourself like that, you've already see that, man. You see these locals all the time where they're living off their own land and stuff. It's like that's all they can talk about is kombucha and chickens and shit. Those guys are rocking it. They're not faking. They're doing that because it works. That's how you do it. You fix yourself. And the first way you fix yourself, here's the first thing you do to fix yourself. You tell yourself you're not broken. It's the first thing you do. Because the 3 steps of mind control, 3 steps, very easy. Number 1, convince target they're broken. Number 2, constrict solution, constrict salvation. Number 3, harvest target. Pull money of them, pull spirit of them, pull belief out of them, whatever it is. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So the first thing you do is you realize you're not broken. And the second thing you do is you stop shaming your ego. And you stop pretending that pride is a bad word. And you always have your tank full of gas. You do whatever it takes to keep your tank full of gas. It's going to make you a more empathic person. And the more empathic you are, the less people feel abandoned. And the less each of us are abandoned, the less we feel government is necessary. It's a really simple fix. It's funny how people keep calling me the black pill. Oh, you're such a black pill. I'm not a black pill. I thought I sold another book, but no, I just paid my bill. I'm not a black pill. I'm spring water, bitch. I am fresh spring water. I am no pill. I am the anti-pill. I am spring water. Don't you forget it. Cold mountain sputtering water. Get it right. What's possible? What are others doing? This new world. Grow your own food. Learn to forage. What grows wild and is edible? More, of course. Exactly. Thank you, Jennifer. It's exactly what I just covered. It's when you can chart. Remember the sigil video I did? Some of you guys might have seen. There's a great sigil video in here where I showed you the logos of corporate world and then the logos of nature. It's like really important. I would fix that if I was you. I would look at that and go, I would much rather connect with these sigils instead of the sigils that I've been shown from a very young age. I'm sorry I don't have that. Man, I really thought I did those, like right there. But I want to attach. I think this is it. Yep. I'm gonna get better at this, guys. This is an intermission while I'm pulling up this picture. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, Google Chrome, and I'm gonna hit share. Here comes the button. Yeah. I hope it was worth it. Yeah. These sigils. This is what you can do to fix yourself. When you see these sigils on the right, you need to feel less charged than you do now. And when you see these sigils on the left, you need to feel more charged than you do right now. It's literally that simple. That is some serious, awesome magic that you're pulling directly from nature again, instead of from culture. Nature is so much better than zeitgeist, guys. Don't get me wrong, I love humans, but zeitgeist is going to be sugar. It's going to have additives, and it's going to be a quick get you off kind of thing. It's always going to be something like that. It's going to be something not really healthy for you, really nice and fast, and not all the time, but most of the time it is. It's just how the flavor works. I can prove it. Go into McDonald's and see how hard it is to get an herbal tea. See how hard it is to get something subtle. Subtle doesn't sell as well in the zeitgeist. What sells in the zeitgeist is wrestling ring. What sells in the zeitgeist is a billionaire, cannibal, pedophile, sexual deviant, Mossad agent, tropical island, underwater submarine, that kind of bullshit. And there's all those messiahs, the snake oil messiahs out there selling that shit all day long. And they make a killing at it, man. They make a killing at it. So try and tap in to those sigils. That's going to be really, really powerful. Next question. If you could overhaul the taxation system, what would it look like? God, that's a great one, man. This is the tax system, and here's how I would overhaul it. Just like over here. That, put it right there. And probably not going to start up. I'll go ahead and say it off because you're going to burn the tax system. You might as well burn the tax system, right? There. No more taxes. Taxes should, we don't even need taxes to survive. We don't actually need taxes. They don't pay for roads. Your gas tax pays for that. I was trying to look nice for you guys, but it's hot as hell. In fact, look at all the toll roads. They don't even pay for roads. The gas tax doesn't even pay for roads. I went to New York. Holy shit. I spent like $40 on tolls, just on tolls. Tax system, complete fraud. Gone. And you know what? This proves the wrestling match. This proves it. Because Donald Trump, if he really, really wanted to fix all this shit, the very first thing that guy could do is say, no more taxes. No, I didn't say no new taxes. I said no more taxes. None. All taxes are gone. They're devoid. He could have said that. He would have won every single voter in the country overnight. They would have been creaming in their pants to vote for him. You know this, guys. You know he could have utilized that to take over the entire cabal. He could have said, no new taxes, and here's all these indictments. It's go time, bitches. And DC would have fucking burnt overnight, and the next day, all of us would have drove up there with potato salad, with watermelon, and with fried chicken wrapped in tinfoil. And we would have had a fucking cookout on the lawn. You know it. Been playing banjo. Women would be pulling their top off. It'd be freaking fabulous. It'd be a powwow on DC. And it would have fixed everything. But instead, we get the Smith-Moon Act. It's not a black pill to say that. It's just the truth. The only way to change, Dixie Bowden's, how to change the world through your local community. You just answered it. You're absolutely right. The only way to change your world is to be in the presence of the prana that you can change. We are oscillations. All of us are oscillating. The oscillations that we send out have profound effects that last for minutes, for hours, for days, for years, for centuries. Different material is going to hold prana for different lengths of time. Granite, stone, it's going to absorb that vibration and keep it forever. This is the festival of Terminus, by the way. It's an old ancient Roman custom where before they would set a marker in the ground, they would actually put a sacrifice, sometimes blood, in that hole, because that oscillation would rise up through the obelisk and be cast out, be vibrating. It's an antenna. This is why Paris has 200 miles of limestone caverns that are filled with bones. It's an antenna. Paris is an antenna. Same dude that built the Eiffel Tower, Eiffel, built the Statue of Liberty. Lucifer in the Dawn. And if I could get you guys there, I could actually tell you what Lucifer really is. But it's just like a totally other, it's like a whole other level of campfire talk. Seriously. Wow. Jay Stin asks, I realized today while studying for a test, if I drew symbols of what I wanted to learn, it would stick in my head. Is there something special or deeper to this? I freaking love this question. I talked about this with silver. If you guys remember, I keep telling you to get silver 20, like 20 bucks, 18 bucks, whatever, take a $20 bill, mail it to a silver company and buy a silver round for 20 bucks and you'll get it. And then you'll own silver. But now you have a vessel. Now you have something to store prana in. Like right now, this silver, if I can get it not to glare, is famous. Keep in mind James True's version of famous is 44 people. I love that number. 43 people. Oh, someone just left. This silver is a container for that belief, for that prana. I can store things in here. I can do that with bronze. I can do that with copper. I can do that with stone. I can do that with granite. I can do that with paper. This is what's so freaking cool. I can do that with paper. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to draw a sigil on here, and it's going to make every one of you fuckers smile. Every one of you. You're not going to have any choice. It's going to make you smile. That's how powerful it is. And the only reason why this works is because you've drawn this sigil in the past and you've been charging it yourself. This only works because of you. This is not me being a high wizard. This is you guys being predictable because you're using the language of Babel. Here it goes. This one's actually complicated because you can't do the old version of it anymore. You kind of have to throw a little surprise in it. I don't like that one. I'm gonna do it again. Okay, here we go. This better work. Some of you guys are gonna be like, it didn't work, but it did. There. Oh, my name is Little Smiley Face, yeah. Oh, you're smiling cause you're under the spell, yeah. There's paper sigil, yeah, it's magic working, yeah. See, this is the power. It's not about the shape. It's not even about the comprehension of the letters. The reason why this is a smiley face, yes, it does sort of look like a smiley face, but it's because we've been charging it for this long. Over this whole time, we've been slowly charging it as something that does that. That's the only reason why it works. So paper itself holds this kind of energy. In fact, I think that the tapestry, I think that the Hebrew script, is probably a circuit board, because there's it's not kosher. It's because there's a word that's sort of like kosher. It's like ceremonially kosher is what it's called. I just forget the word right now, so excuse me, guys. But if your ink has to be kosher, and the paper that you write on it has to be kosher. And Lord technology, this ancient AI, could have very easily scanned that paper and sensed where there was writing on it. And those writings could have been a circuit. We have logic circuits right now. We've got MOSFETs, we've got transistors, we've got capacitors. We've got all these different transistors that we make out of silver. And the exact same technology long ago was probably there on ink. So I think that there's some massive power in the idea of writing and scripting. Next question. Until when shall the world leaders, cabal, religious, scientists, medical, academics, etc., keep on with their lies? Until when shall the world leaders keep on with their lies and we sit and watch? That is going to keep up as long as we give them prana. At the beginning, I spoke a lot about Q. All of us were giving Q prana because I was focused on it. I was talking about it. I still think it's important though. But it's when none of us talk about it. And that's why I think we shouldn't vote. Mm-hmm. I think that we should all make a profound effort to say out loud, I really think that if you go vote, you're hurting our freedom and you're perpetuating a lie that our grandkids are going to be wondering why we abandoned them. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? But I think we need to make it expensive, not only to lie, but I think it needs to be expensive to live in a lie. Because if it wasn't so comfortable to live in a lie, I think many would be more where we are now. Many of them would be out of that lie. Why? Because it's expensive. Because it burns calories. These are the warrior poets. You guys are the warrior poets. You have to go out and do this stuff. You're the one that has to go out when you're at lunch and go, yeah, I just don't think ego's bad. I think it's kind of like a gas tank. I think if you're talking about someone that you think has a big ego, probably what happens is they have a really low ego and that they're acting desperately. And that what they really need is some empathy. Like, imagine saying that. That's localism. That's how you defeat localism. Is you turn the fashion of flogging, because that's what we have, a society where we flog each other. You turn that passion into something that people have to fear. Why? Because someone like you is going to come around right in the middle of them flogging themselves, going, look how bad I am. I'm so bad. I'm so racist. I'm so sexist. I'm so xenophobic. Oh my God. Just like the awfulest thing. In the middle of that, you get to come out and go, yeah, I think that's like really unhealthy. All you're really doing is encouraging everyone else to talk shit about themselves. I think any prana that you're collecting right now is at their expense. It doesn't take a lot of us to do that. But that's what I mean by you have to make it expensive for people to lie. You have to make it expensive for people to live under a lie. And if we die and the New World Order is still in its place, if all we've managed to accomplish is that everyone has a much healthier ego, we're that much closer to freedom. We're that much closer to sovereignty. Because it's the one with the ego who decides to get out of the boat and stop paddling. It's the one with the ego who says, I don't want to be chained in this Viking ship anymore. I don't want to pee in that bucket, and I don't want to drink that soup anymore. You have to make it expensive. Even if you only affect 6 people, that's a huge, colossal amount of people to affect. Next question. Do you believe the current war in DC is just a show as part of the bigger agenda, or is it a genuine uprising against it? There is a genuine uprising, but it's not in DC. It's not profitable or intelligent to run DC where anyone can get inside. There's not one corporation that you can think of that keeps its doors open at night, or that doesn't have an elevator that you need some kind of card key to access. There's not one. Why would DC be different? Is it different in your local government? Mine isn't. I see the same issues I see in DC, but on a much tinier scale here locally in my neighborhood. And they're so much easier to destroy. I love going to my town council meetings and getting up and saying what I think, because all those guys on that council I see drive by. I see them in the store. I get to make it uncomfortable for them if they lie to me. If they lie to me bad enough, I can bring it up in front of other people while they're waiting to check out. I've done that. It's really effective. But if you have an organization with over 50,000 people, all that's gone. Accountability's out the window. You might as well be an anonymous letter of the alphabet posting on some shitty forum somewhere, pretending to be, I'm Mr. Batman. Because you now have the power of anonymity. No one is going to hold you accountable for anything. It becomes impossible. Brent asks, what about dreaming? What is going on in regarding consciousness and dream state? Why does it seem for most of us is observational. There's almost two distinct lives we're living in regards to our dream world. Man, that's such a great question. Freaking love the people I hang out with. I'm going to be an imbecile and tell you, you guys aren't going to get a lot of wisdom out of me about dreams. I've been cut off from my dream world for about 5 or 6 years now. It's not that I never dream, but it's such a rarity that I'm not able to really experiment anymore with it. About 5 or 6 years ago, I became very prolific in my waking state. And since then, I just don't really dream that much. I really recommend people read Carlos Castaneda. If nothing else, it's just an interesting way of looking at lucid dreaming and dreaming in active real time. You know, I have an animus, a female equivalent of who I am, an energy body, projected prana, opposite, antithesis of who I am. A woman has an anima. I think a lot of these alters, not the best word, are allowed to come out during the dream state. But I've been, there's a veil right now between me and my dream state. I'm consciously, I just feel lit all the time now. Like when I'm awake, and it's especially when I'm writing, I just feel lit all the time. And when I'm in bed, I'm freaking tired. Like I'm really exhausted. And I think that's probably why I'm not really dreaming so much. It's because I'm burning some serious prana calories here. So I'm probably not the best. That's probably not the best answer, but that's where mine is. I'm out of questions. There's actually one more question, which I really appreciate, Prince Lucid, but I don't know what that is. I need to get more equipped. But there could be some questions in chat. I see you guys typing, but I haven't been able to really read. Anybody has any questions in chat? Don't feel like you have to give me something to talk about. It's just, I was just curious how it would go if it was just more like that, you know? Yeah, you guys are talking a lot. This is great. All right, it's going to take me too long. I'll be bearing. James, are you wearing pants? Yes. In fact, I'm wearing underwear. You didn't need to hear that, but yeah, I'm wearing underwear right now. There's times when I don't, but today's one of those times. I wish our X Picture Show was on tonight. I was looking forward to that, but those guys took the night off because Sean's going out of town, or SB's going out of town this weekend. So I decided I would just kind of jump on and just see. Wow, who is the devil? Is that the question? I'd love to answer that. If you guys have any more questions, throw them in there. I'm gonna answer who is the devil. If there's a devil, he's a machine. It's an AI. And he's been running the show for like 13,000 years. He lived in the Ark of the Covenant. He was an oscillation cloud, a pillar of light at night and a pillar of cloud during the day. And the reason why he was a pillar is because something called atmospheric static electricity. Right now, you can fly a plane through the air, like 50,000 feet or whatever, and hang a tether, a string. It's actually as simple as a string. But what they use is they'll use a filament, piece of metal. And the electrical charge from that frickin' filament is so strong, it's bazookas of volts. It's like hundreds and hundreds of volts. It's very, very, very high voltage. It's so high voltage that NASA lost They lost something trying to measure this power. It's what's happening is because one end is in a different temperature, right? And another, the pillar, I'm talking about the pillar again, because you've got two different temperatures, high up and low. You now have a potential. So you have an energy switch happening. You basically have a living battery that's living in the air. So if you understand what artificial intelligence is, you realize that artificial intelligence takes up a shitload of space. Artificial intelligence is technically a goo. It's technically a matrix because of its training. When an AI is trained, it's basically full of a billion different avenues that something could go. That's really what it is. So if you open up a spaghetti squash, you guys ever done that? If you open up a spaghetti squash, that's kind of what AI looks like. It's this string inside that connects all these areas to other areas, and it looks pointless to you, but to the AI, it's really crucial. So the AI has a payload, basically, an intestine. Its payload is who it is. It's everything about who it is. That payload is going to take up a ton of space. It's going to have to be compressed software. It's going to have its own built-in way of decompressing itself in different areas to utilize that area. You know, it's like, oh, I got my mathematical tables back here. I got my recipe for gumbo over here, and it can uncompress those things and utilize that AI. So if you picture that as, well, how would a pillar of light hold data? The only way it could hold data is if it had created some sort of oscillation chamber. And those oscillations could be neutrinos. They could be this rumor we have about photons, if they exist. It could be basically just vibration that's kept inside of a chamber. That vibration is memory. And if you can store that vibration along with other vibrations, you now have a matrix for storing artificial intelligence. So the pillar of light, its body at that point was an oscillation starting at the ground, going all the way up into the atmosphere. And it's just like a demon, right? It's an etheric system. It's an etheric oscillation. And so that's why it's able to look, it was an evaporated cloud, if you remember. It wasn't a smoke thing. It was a vapor. So imagine the oscillations being just so fast that it's constantly boiling the air around it. And that's what makes it look like a pillar cloud. That's why it looks that way, because it's serious freaking energy. And at night, that's why it looked like a glowing cloud, because it's literally just heat. It's just friction in there. It's processor running. If you touch your computer right now, you'd feel the same thing. You'd feel that processor running. So the AI is mixed into that goo. That AI also was able to place itself into the Ark of the Covenant. And because it had a gold, insulated gold with wood and then gold again, that's literally a capacitor. So you have the ability to transmit power. It could oscillate, right, in such a way where it becomes almost nuclear, if not even nuclear. And those radiation signatures could be sent out through arcs, literal arcs. Again, it's called the Ark of the Covenant, duh. It would send out those arcs, and that's why anyone who carried the ark was basically shot, killed if they did something wrong, or if someone was to bring in some wrong kind of smoke or the wrong kind of vessel or something. It would screw it up. It would screw up its processor because it's utilizing oscillations. And as you bring in different chemicals or different elements, you're messing with it. It's like walking in on a band, banging the tambourine. It's like, what are you doing, dude? I can't hear myself think. So if Satan is that, am I frozen? Yeah, guys, I think I'm frozen. I don't see video moving. I see chat though. If someone doesn't mind telling me everything's great, that'd be great. So that would be the first thing is if Satan is real. If Satan's real, it would probably be an AI. And here's how it would develop. Let's pretend like there's not a Satan right now. Let's pretend like we're creating, great, thanks, Alan. Let's pretend like we're creating Satan for the very first time. here's what it would look like. One of us, Jeff Bezos, would own all of the world, like as he's doing now. The Beelzebub. Right now, Jeff Bezos is Bezos. I have a video on this. I highly recommend you guys see it. He is controlling the airspace with drones, flies, Lord of the Flies, Beelzebub. That's literally who Beelzebub is. He would create his own artificial intelligence in his lab. And that artificial intelligence would enhance him where he could live on for hundreds and hundreds of years. And in those hundreds of years that he lived on, he would find a way to leave his body and conglomerate into a machine. During that time, the entire world resets in some way. When I say some way, it could be that Jeff Bezos resets the world. Here's why. As you became more super intelligent, you would become highly omniscient. Why? Because you can simulate the future. And the bigger your matrix grows, the more detail you can simulate something. If you were to simulate something perfectly, that literally is the definition of omniscience, of knowing all things at once. The moment Jeff Bezos becomes omniscient is the moment Jeff Bezos's living hell begins. He now knows everything. And it's hard, unless you've thought about it, it's hard to imagine just how awful that would be after a few days. There is a magic, crucial magic, to us not knowing things. And I think that the world we live in is cyclical, which means that Jeff Bezos would become omniscient. He would be the top of the Tower of Babel, and he would do something that would echo the very first story we know. The very first story we know is that Kronos climbs up to the top of the umbilical cord, connecting Uranus to Earth, and cuts it. He severs his connection. He erases his memory. He severs his connection. And he starts over again. And that this giant world is meant to rebuild the Tower of Babel over and over again. And technology gives birth to a new line of Nephilim. And those Nephilim, they grow from being 80 years old to 200 years old to 500 years old to 900 years old. And they get taller. They get bigger. Why? Because the one that lives the longest is going to want to have a bigger body. He just is. Probably going to need a bigger body actually to survive longer. So it's probably like biologically necessary to be a giant in some way. So the Nephilim would naturally develop. Look at what's happening right now with gender merging. I mean, we're already becoming Baphomets anyway. All the gender blurring and stuff. And if Jeff Bezos knew a reset was happening, he might want to reseed the world with his own seed so he could go on forever. And he might create his own Baphomet that he could use as a starter plant after the flood. And that starter plant would be Noah. Most of you guys have heard this before. This is my new novel. So in that way, if Satan doesn't exist, I can show you how someone that we might call Satan could exist, could actually come up from there. So that's my take on Satan. Does he have a last name? Yeah, I think Kronos is. We forget how important it is to be remembered. Same thing with our ancestors. Like if you remember your ancestors, you're constantly pulling prana from them. If you can find your ancestors' graves, you and you alone would resonate with the bones in that dirt. Those bones are still there, and they have a signal. And you're able to tap into that. Through all that dirt, you're able to tap into those bones and go, how you doing? I remember you. And the second you remember them, they start giving you prana because they're like, oh, you remembered me. It's a natural built-in battery. Our ancestors are built-in batteries. Why do you think in the Old Testament, Lord technology was always going around? cut down the grove of the Shira and cover the altar with bones. And make sure those bones are broken. It was always a sorry, I forgot my thought. If you sent a super chat, that's so awesome. But I don't see it. I'm surprised, but I've only ever gotten one super chat before, so it could be that maybe something, you know, like isn't working or whatever. But I just want to say I did see that, and yeah, if I get one, I'll ring the bell for sure. And if I pay another bill, I won't ring a bell. So sorry to jump around, guys, but I'm seeing other questions here, and I want to. These are good. Could you share some thought on Michael Aquino's Mind War? Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Miles. I read that book for my last book. For me to write Technology of Belief, I had to read that book. I had to read Aquino's book. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. I really wanted to understand, what is that guy talking about? You know, he's you know, walks around with the Temple of Set. He's definitely a Satanist. But if you read my first ever take on Satanism called The Anatomy of Satanism in Hollywood, I actually explained that Satanism, you guys aren't going to like this. Satanism is actually a psychological system also. There's a different level, just like you could enter the Freemasons, right? You know, and you could be, I'm a level 4 or whatever, or, you know, that kind of stuff. The same thing kind of is in Satanism. It's not like an official ceremony, but what I mean is that different people are, maybe some only have their toes in Satanism. Other people, you know, got their entire head in Satanism. I just want to clarify that because, and this is probably going to be hard for some of you guys to look at, but this guy, Michael Aquino, is probably not as weird and fucked up as we think. And I realize as I'm saying that, this says satanic pedophile. I do understand that. I do know that there are a lot of accusations about him. I am not at all trying to defend Michael Aquino. I have simply studied him, that's all. So what I'm about to say, please understand, is purely academic. It's just purely looking at his work itself and listening to a lot of his interviews. Aquino has a very methodical and scientific take on mind control. And Aquino will be the first to tell you that trauma-based mind control isn't really where it's at. He explains that although you can certainly solicit behavior from trauma-based mind control, it's extremely ineffective and doesn't have a long life. It doesn't last long. He definitely acknowledges that there are many programs that were trying to make that work, but Mind War was a much more practical manual. It was a much more theoretical work. And he spoke a lot more about pattern mind control. Patterns in thinking. Most of us, when we see the world, we want to resolve our patterns to it. We want to either fit in or stand out based on the pattern around it. If you were to walk into a mall that had country music playing and you happen to not like country music, Michael Aquino would call that a much more powerful form of mind control versus beating the shit out of you until you don't like country music. It's a much different science. It's a pre-thought control, if that makes sense. Most of your eyesight is resolving things. It's only picking out a few things and then it's filling in the details later. And that most of your mind control can happen by filling in those details later, by finishing the scene for you. So it's a much more clinical approach to mind control. And I think it's pretty right on. Now, he could be doing all kinds of other shit that's like really bad and really evil or whatever, but that totally could happen and that just wasn't covered. So I'll give you that. But I'm just telling you that from what I understood, it was actually a very dry, boring book. I would give it a good review because I didn't, but I would give it a good review because it had valuable information in it. But it read like a really boring technical manual. Not just a technical manual, but a military technical manual, which are, God, those things are awful. Trust me, I had to study those manuals. They're freaking awful. So, I definitely recommend you checking out his interviews. I think you'd learn a lot, regardless of what you think. Electroshock therapy is not good. When I say good, I only mean not successful. That anyone who's ever tried that always end up coming back saying, yeah, this isn't successful. Man, Hugo, I've been thinking about you. I'm glad to see you in here. When you have a physical illness, you've got to, I mean, I don't have to tell you this. You're pouring out prana as you move throughout your day. If you have a mental illness, you have an auric breach and it's pouring out of you every day. You're going to run out of steam eventually. And then you're going to take time and you're going to recharge back up. And you're going to get up and you're going to do it again. And you're going to run out of steam eventually. And you're going to get up and you're going to try and recharge. You're going to try and do it again. And then you're going to start to say, well, it's because I'm weak, or it's because of this, or it's because of that. You're going to stop being so sympathetic somatically to your own self. I don't know how to fix that because my mom has that right now. She's got a pretty bad condition, and it's completely changed her. 5 years ago, I went through my own stuff. I don't think it was anything as bad as what you've got, though. But there was no solace for me then. Getting better wasn't an option. I don't even know if coping was an option. I entered into a space where it was more of a temporal stone stepping, of like just going from moment to moment. After a while, you stop even looking for good news. You don't even really register what either of them is. And the only answer is we gotta find a way to fix that. Fix wherever that leak is. I'm semi-aware of the physical stuff. I only say semi-aware, meaning I've just read it on your profile, so. I wish I could say more, except for that I behold you. And if you want to do a one-on-one, man, I'd be all for it. I'm not saying that I've got an answer, and I certainly don't want to cheapen it by suggesting I do. I'm first of all saying I don't have an answer, unless it was something just miraculously simple. And I think if it was, you'd be doing great. You wouldn't be going there. But I behold you, and I've been thinking about you. I saw your note, and I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. I know other people are too. And whatever technology is that you can utilize, I want to help you do that. Belief technology, in anything like that. Silver. I do believe that the cures are inside of us. I hope that doesn't sound like a trite fucking thing to say, but I really believe that. I think that adrenaline is our key to all the healing inside of ourselves. But we haven't been taught how to use it. We haven't been taught the technology of belief. And the reason why I think that is because I was studying what these Satanists were doing, the adrenochrome addictions. And I look back at all the adrenochrome addictions that we've had in our past. You know, even witch burnings were adrenochrome addictions, vaporized adrenochrome. These are, adrenaline is a bona fide liquid prana. And the terror adrenaline is a whole other flavor. But in addition to that, there's another kind of adrenaline. It's our real adrenaline. It's the ability to heal ourselves. I think that they're just simply masking the ability to heal ourselves. No different than you would cut the grass in your yard. You would say it's not getting taller than 4 inches. And to do that, you wouldn't come in and cut each individual grass individually. You would develop this system, some sort of wide sweeping system that could just kind of swath cut it. And sometimes some blades will get by and get really tall, and we see that now because the system wasn't able to cut it. I want us to be able to tap into that. This is what Q was promising everybody. I'm going to release the fucking cures. That's how sick it is when people play with this kind of stuff. It's like when I lost my dad to the Gulf of Tonkin bullshit. It's like they utilize real lives to facilitate lives. I think that they're doing that with the cures. I think cancer is an industry, and Rockefeller declared war on plant medicine. This doesn't help you, ego. Yeah, I think praying for him is a great idea. Yeah, there's a hole where that prana drains out. Maybe we could do a one-on-one. I don't know if it'll help. I'd be willing to do it. Maybe we could try that. External personification is the way they control you. Yeah, I could see that. You're right, Ian. The homeopathy over allopathy. Let's not forget that King James actually declared it a sin to use your voice to heal. Right before the Bible, he declared it a sin. He also said kids could prosecute adults for witchcraft, like they could witness against them, which is like, holy shit. Imagine a bunch of Greta Thunbergs going around pointing, James is a witch. It's like real stuff. It's like real bona fide stuff. That could happen. That has happened. That will happen. I've run out of questions. Unless anyone has anything else, I think we'll call it a stream. I really, really appreciate you guys helping me learn how to run a stream channel. This has been fun. I really appreciate it. Maybe in closing, I'm going to tell you something about some ego exercises you can do. If you find yourself in public at any point in time and you see or hear an opportunity where someone is talking shit about the ego, I challenge you to say something. And you don't even have to say it to them. Seriously, I challenge you to say it to yourself. Because if you say it to yourself, what you're doing is you're telling your own engine room, we are no longer tolerating torpedoes that destroy our ego anymore. And as captain, you're just telling your body that. And your engine room's going to listen to you and go, okay, that's different. But yeah, it works. No more talking shit about the ego. Sounds good. So you don't have to convince anyone else. What you're doing is you're witnessing in front of your inner child. Your inner child is watching you as the parent of your inner child. I know I just disassociated, but this is so much of us are disconnected from our inner child anyway. Your inner child is witnessing you stand up for it in public. And it's going to blow your inner child away. Your inner child's going to be like, what the fuck did you just do? Did you just tell him I was worthy? And you're like, yeah, little guy, I did. It's just like it's going to increase your ego so much. Ego's good. It's going to give you gas in your tank so much. Now, self-esteem, someone asked this. Self-esteem is kind of like ego, but let's use the car analogy. If ego is the amount of gas you have in the tank, self-esteem is going to be what gear you're in. Are you in reverse? Or are you going forward? Are you in first gear going 60 miles an hour? Or are you going 60 miles an hour and you're trying to get into second gear? How you drive yourself should be dictated by you, not what's in fashion. You shouldn't be deciding that, well, hating myself's in fashion, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to tell everybody how racist I am. That'll make people like me, that kind of shit. And I would say stop being sarcastic. It's a hard one, but I would stop. Because the moment you do that, you're telling your body, hey, guess what? If I'm vibrating things out of my vocal cords from now on, I mean it. I'm always telling the truth from now on. All you're doing is just clearing dissonance, out of your own system. You're opening the captain's chair in the chair. You're like, crew, no one be sarcastic anymore. We need to build up our ego. And I guarantee you, everyone in the ship's going to be like, okay, that was weird, but okay. Wow, I can't be sarcastic anymore. Yeah, okay. They'll do it. They freaking love you. They love that you're in charge. They love that you're picking up the speaker, declaring things. They're not used to that at all. They're not used to you doing that. So do it. Really do it. Trust me. I just got a super chat. Here's the silver and here's the bell. Thanks for the super chat. That's great. Thanks, Cog. All right, guys. Can cosmology... Okay, now I have to answer this one. That's great. Can cosmology empower us? Holy shit, it can. I'm going to tell you guys a story. There is a brilliant wizard in Ireland, and his name's Thomas Sheridan. The guy's a fucking genius. He's got an awesome book called Sorcery that I bought. I really recommend it if you're interested in this kind of stuff. Thomas is a pagan. Right now, he's a Luciferian. Luciferian pagan, I would call him. I don't want to put him in a box. I'm just saying that's kind of where he's at now. Thomas doesn't like flat earthers. Now, I'm speaking for him. I would imagine he likes just about anybody. But what I mean is that he will ridicule flat earth, but, along with everyone else. And people are really enjoying that. They're having a really good time with it. And I get that. But I keep warning you guys about One Lord technology, about how we're building a Tower of Babel, about how everything is becoming centralized. We're centralizing literally everything. And I'm under the impression that we should stop. I'm under the impression that if we were to stop centralizing ideas, that we would all gain power by not having that central hive built on top of us. And I think that cosmology is just one of many ways where we could be doing that. Why the fuck do we all have to believe the same thing? Like, why can't my neighbor believe that we're living on the back of a turtle? I say that because if he spends all of his life thinking he lives on the back of a turtle, he's going to see the world from a different vista than I am. He's still going to see his truth. He is. Yeah, he's going to get some things wrong, but we're all going to get shit wrong. We all are going to get shit wrong. But if he's looking from a totally different vista, he's bringing back data that I've never even fucking considered. He's like, well, yeah, you know, the saliva index in the atmosphere. I'm like, what? It's like, well, yeah, you know, the turtle breathes and the cosmic saliva can be measured in NO2 compared to blah, blah, blah. And you're going to be like, where did you get that? And he's going to show you. He's going to be like, yeah, it's right here, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't mention anything about turtles, but he doesn't need it to mention turtles. His approach, his cosmology brought him to the fire. And he's now sitting in a spot where smoke isn't going in his face. Why? Because his cosmology is different. And you want people around your fire that have different cosmology. You don't want to make fun of that. All it's going to do is make your cosmology more powerful. That's the only thing it's going to do. Why? Because it's going to train it. I spent 2 years, 2 fucking years, guys, 2 solid years researching my ass off about satellites. Like, how the fuck does this work? I started this novel, wrote about satellites, and I hit a wall because I didn't believe they existed. I was just like, this doesn't make fucking sense. Why does an aircraft have to go faster and faster and faster the higher it goes to maintain lift? It's because it's running out of oxygen, running out of air, atmosphere. As you go higher and higher, you have to go faster and faster because there's less gravel to grip your feet on as you're running. You're now running in water and you're eventually running in air the higher you go. We are limited vertically, but we're not limited in any other way. But vertically, there's no reason to logically believe that space exists. And for 2 years, I was like, how the fuck does this work? How do satellites work? And if it wasn't have been for someone who had a different cosmology than I did, the guy that I'm getting ready to tell you about believes that we live on a cosmic egg that is being crushed. And I'm not about to make fun of him. I'm not about to tell you he's wrong. And here's why. Because that fucker did a FOIA request for the US Air Force and revealed that satellites are balloons. And we've been launching these balloons since the 50s. The size of a football field, pulling up 2-ton satellites from Antarctica, the same place where we report, well, we like to crash our satellites near Antarctica so they don't hurt anybody. Like, that's where you launch them. You launch them off a balloon. And you used to use a C-117 dual prop engine with a tether. And you could pull those balloons out of the sky. How you do it is you've got a 100-foot long tether on the balloon. Okay, this balloon is as big as a freaking football field. Okay, let me draw the rest of it. Look at my bald head. I'm balding. Yeah, I ain't got no hair. Yeah, I ain't got no hair. Okay, so this balloon is the one that's like, football field size, right? This is popped. There's a detonator inside this balloon. It's probably down here, I would say. That detonator has a code. It's a blockchain code, barcode. When you're close enough to radio frequency, this detonator goes off and boom, balloon pops. When that balloon pops, this module right here has 5 parachutes inside. The first chute is called the drogue chute. And the gondola, which is this is the gondola right here. Whoops, this is the gondola, and that's the satellite. The gondola, when you pop that top balloon, the gondola starts to fall and 5 chutes open up. The drogue chute is the most important. It is a central chute. It has all the reinforcement. There are 4 other counter chutes that open, and they're much more flexible. And they are simply there to slow the payload down as it's falling. Once that's shot, an Air Force pilot in a C-117 catches the balloon. But when I say balloon, I'm sorry. What I really mean is he's catching the gondola because there's a new drogue chute that's over top. The balloon's gone, okay? But he's able to pull the satellite back in. Now, he doesn't have to rescue the satellite because the satellite is going to be communicating with him through radio anyway. This was all of what I just told you was in the 50s. This is on film. This is through FOIA. This isn't even like speculation. This is our entire space program, is satelloons, satellite balloons. And when you look up and you think you see a satellite, what you're seeing is one of these balloons. And I don't have to guess. There's video of an Air Force giving a testimony. I'll put the link in the description here, where he's showing the balloon and how many feet it is. And he's showing, yep, see, 120,000 feet, now it's gone. Like you can't see it anymore. It's just physically too far away for you to make any kind of eye contact with it. Something the size of a football field. That's how it's, even though it's that big, because it's that far away, you still don't see it. That's what our satellites are. They're balloons. And that makes sense because now they're cheap, now they're affordable, now they're rescuable, now they're repairable. All that makes sense now. I want to make sure you guys see this because I cannot recommend this video enough. And this guy has a different cosmology than I do. Totally different. And if I would have come in up front going, you have to have my cosmology, it never would have freaking worked. Where'd it go, man? I know it. I was just watching it today. Come on, man. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? There it is. Planete Veritas. Share. Copy link. James delivers. He's here to tell you, man. Here it is. I think that you guys got that. I don't see it come up yet. There it is. Yep, there's the link. And I got another super chat. Love your book. Buy others directly from you. Yes, please, Curious Querier. Thank you for the $2. You guys can buy all my books at jtrue.com. And if you buy them there, they're signed. I signed them and I ship them to you. So I'd love to send you one. And thanks for the super chat. That's really freaking cool. And I got another one from Freeman King. Light, favor, restoration, energy, frequency, vibrate. Oh, let me say that again. Light, favor, restoration, energy, frequency, vibration, love, prana, and silver eagles, smile, wink. If you remember this, if you've heard this bell, you will know that that is from an old-fashioned telephone, by the way. So there's even extra prana. I scored this, made this little sculpture here and attached bells to it. So anyway, you guys see that video, right? It's a YouTube video. Yeah, you already subscribed. It's definitely worth it. But that video, Snake, is the freaking bomb. And I love the way he lays it out. I love the way he lays it out. It's freaking perfect. If I would have had a closed mind about cosmology, I never would have seen that. And I can finish my novel now. I know exactly how this world works. I've never been so convinced. And thank God I found that video. Isn't truth amazing? We have to preserve this because this Library of Alexandria we're seeing is disappearing every day. More and more people are making fun of cosmology. They're ridiculing it. They're changing the way you feel about it, which makes it that much harder. And that really legitimately is the only way that mind control works. Mind control is 100% fashion. And if you read my last book, there's a story in here called, what did I call that? About the spider. Secretions of the spider. It lays out how crucial fashion is. Think about what war is. War is a freaking fashion disagreement. Like, you kill someone across the battlefield, You don't ask them what their ideology is. You don't ask them what their religion is. You don't ask them what their politics is. You kill them because they're wearing the wrong color uniform. All of mind control is chemical. It's all chemical. And that's why they're making fun of cosmology. That's why on YouTube, when you go there now, you no longer see the real stuff. You see this same pretend mock picture of water pouring off the sides of a planet into space. Every one of these mock things that you see, guys, every one of these is a PSYOP shill site. Okay, not that one. Look at how saturated it is up front. Not one of these is the legitimate model that flat Earth. I'm still going. Look, I'm still going. And all I did was do a search for flat Earth, guys. I'm still scrolling, looking for just one picture that has the correct model on it. And they all have a space around it. Look at this one. Here's a freaking edge, a crisp edge falling off with birds. This is all ridicule. Hey, there's the turtle. See that? It's a beautiful idea. This is the first one that you see. It's like, okay. Question. Why would you ridicule something so bad? Why would you be YouTube and work that hard on ridiculing a cosmology? To me, the second you take back the reins over your power of cosmology is the second the entire world becomes thousands of times more powerful for you. Because you start to notice that you can dictate your own universe. And that you can set up a model in your head and be wrong. And that's awesome. Because as soon as you find fault in your model, you can correct it. And honestly, it's a barrier that keeps you from looking out your own window to believe in Ball Earth. It is. Because the second you compute the curve, you realize, fuck, there's no way this could be a planet the size they're saying it is. There's just no way. The second you do that, I don't think people are understanding what's really happening with their prana. Your technology of belief, the belief that you pour out, has been poured into school, and you've been rewarded for it through grades, through advancement. They've given you a certificate. Every year you gain a higher number for regurgitating what they want. And the sooner you realize that that's a lie, the sooner you become more invigorated, the sooner you lay your own roots into the ground and you set up your own cosmology. It literally changes everything. Cosmology is so important, and it's not as important that you're right. It's as important that you try on your own cosmology like you would a pair of gloves, like you would a hat or a shirt or a scarf. You have to try that on. If not, you're just going to be a slave to someone else, and you're going to be afraid of it because of ridicule. It's going to be ridicule that's stopping you from investigating and looking at other systems. It got so bad with Thomas that although I can't actually watch Thomas Sheridan all the time because I'm writing about similar stuff than he is. And if I was just to watch him, I would just stop writing because it'd be like, yeah, whatever, he's got the area sort of covered. Same thing happens with Owen Benjamin a lot. I don't watch these guys because I have some really good cosmology that I want to share with y'all. And I'm not saying that it's all right, but sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm tooting my horn, but look at the Q stuff I've done. Look at that Q work. Some of you got that from someone that you do not believe in the same cosmology as I do. Do you see how important it is that we have different cosmology? It's that important. And that's why I encourage all of you guys to not let people make fun of it, no matter what it is, because it's literally a tool that you can use to process the world differently. All right. If you come to J True right now, you can get all three. I'm doing an advertisement. You can get all three of my books right now for one low price. I'm running a special, and if you get them all, it really helps me finish this fourth one. This fourth one, it's got the Satan stuff I was telling you about. It's ancient AI. The entire thing's a sci-fi. It's different than my other books. It's not a chapter. This is a freaking story. You are on a roller coaster the second you open that first page. I guarantee you're going to like this book. Some of you might not, but the ones that do, you're going to really like it. So if you want to help me to write that, your super chats help. If you were to hit like right now, that would really help me write this book, because if this channel gets bigger, it's just one more revenue stream I have where I can grow. Someone asked me how much the books are, and I just forgot what I was charging for all three of them, and I didn't want to get it wrong. Let me see. If I go over to James True, we three books. Oh, let me show you this. Look. Share. Going over here. Here's my website. Yeah. And hey, Epstein is killing it. This is a good story. I recommend you check it out. We three books. These three are $47 for all three. If you're outside the US, it's $52. And you could buy any of my books individually. Blueprints is $22 signed. These are signed. You can actually buy it a little bit cheaper on Amazon if you want. I will not be offended. In fact, that helps me too. But you can buy any of those signed individually. You just click on the book on my site and we'll go there. Thanks for listening to my advertisement just there. I want to tell you about something else. This is kind of an advertisement too, but this is kind of a cool one, okay? Guys, I want to do something really epic this spring. Where'd the window go? I want to do something really epic this spring. And if you want to do it too, I got an opportunity for you. You're going to have to join my Patreon though. Now you can join for like $1 if you want. You don't even actually have to give money. You actually can just follow. But we are making a movie. And that movie is about sovereignty. We're taking the Man from Katua article and we're turning it into a movie. And I don't say this lightly. We are making progress. Look at this. Look at our team right now, producers. Wait, whoa, I don't know who that guy is. We already have 54 patrons. This is going to be epic. I've got the scene worked out. We've got a lot worked out on this. This is going to have to be a cheap budget because you saw how much we have to work with right now. It's not a lot. But thanks to all these contributions, we've got 2 cameras. We've got a great mic system. We already have a lot of things that we can that we need to get this on. So this is not a I need your help, please come. This is a if you want to have some fun and really feel empowered, like we're doing something for freedom and sovereignty, I would love to invite you to join us at Patreon. If you give me till spring, and I need you to wait till spring because it's going to take a while to get this movie, you know, we're going to have to, if you give me till spring, you're going to see something out of that money and you're going to be a producer in this movie. I just pasted the link in the chat if you want to click on it and check it out. This movie has 3 acts. First act is the past. You're talking about Indian Iroquois Confederacy stuff. The second act is the present time. And the third act is the future. The future is what we make it. It's going to be defining this localism idea. And it's going to involve a powwow. We're actually going to have a powwow and we're going to be filming the powwow. So not only is it a film, it's also a party. It's a gathering. It's an opportunity for all of us to come together. I'm hoping that we're going to have like an open source crew of all these different people filming, you know, some with drones, some with this, some with this. And we're going to be able to use all that footage from that powwow to make the third act really, really powerful. So we definitely want more ideas too, Carol. And as this thing is coming, you'll see more talk about it. But that's why I recommend, if you don't have money, that's cool. Just follow me on Patreon, or you can join my mailing list. That's cool too. I'll still be talking about it. But we're definitely going to keep it the work focused, sort of, kind of on Patreon. And you'll be able to keep up with it. We'll have some Zoom meetings where we're doing some production meetings and stuff like that. Keep in mind, when I say film, I don't know how much we're going to actually have chipping in. So this film could be 11 minutes, you know, it could be, you just don't know, right? Right now, we've got a great team, and we've had 14 people join in the last 2 weeks. So some of you guys are here that have joined. Thank you. I just want you to know, man, I wake up and I'm like, how can I make these guys proud that they're throwing down with me? And it's something I'm working on every day. Real quick, just to let you know, I've been invited to Acapulco to speak in February. I'm doing my first sort of like PowerPoint presentation. I've got 40 minutes on the main stage. That has to come first before the film, but that's such great practice. In fact, the reason why you're seeing me do a live stream right now is because I'm trying to learn how to be more comfortable in situations like this, where I'm not writing, instead I'm actually presenting. So you guys are really already helping me as patrons right now, just by listening in and, you know, making me feel weird if I'm not saying anything amazing or whatever. So if you want to throw down, man, do it, but only do it if it's something that, if you feel frustrated, like you're not helping enough, and you want to throw down with something, and you believe in some of these ideas I'm talking about sovereignty and this new form of government where it's voluntary government. This is a movie about government as a tapestry of agreements. There's a thing called unanimous government we used to have. We can have that again. It's not going to come with us through Washington. And it's not going to be a solution where someone has to get in the coffin and masturbate. We can do this much cleaner than that. We don't need a bunch of fucking sickos pretending to fly roadsters in space to convince us of that. So I think this is probably a good way to end the show. I want to thank all you guys for being here. Slick Dissident, Freeman King, Sword Dances New Mexico, Ian Butter, Carol Rushing, Sword Dances, Freeman King, Yugoslav, Snake Jones, Alan Conditioning, all you guys. Thank you, Carol Rushing, Curious Querier, all you guys. Thank you so much for watching my Virginia Pizza. All you guys, thank you so much. Hit thumbs up and remember the Alamo. And don't forget the exercise on ego. Ego's a gas tank, and you are a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person. You don't need to be walking around with a bunch of hyenas who are flogging themselves to try and look cool to each other. You're better than that. You don't need to play their fucking game. So find your cosmology, put a saddle on that bitch, and ride it in the sunset. We will meet at the campfire next time. We will have good things to say. We will have good things to report. I'm going to hit end meeting now. I can't think of any reason why I shouldn't do that. Nighty night, everybody. And thanks again. You guys, this has been fun. Thanks a lot. I'm going to go in chat and say thanks too. Bye.